would have really helped. It took me a really long time to figure out what was going on, and I feel like, listen, I'm a lot older than I look. I'm not 18, I swear. I'm allowed to drink. As with other kinds of representation, seeing yourself in a book not only helps kind of, I don't want to say like reinforce, but kind of support your own identity, but it also kind of opens up this world to other people's identities, and I feel like that's really important, especially for children who are like sponges. They're just taking everything in, and that kind of helps make a more well-rounded individual no matter how they identify, I think. Anyway.
Knowledge is power.
Words, half the battle.
Oh,
This is my new best friend. Sorry, James.
I didn't come here to make friends.
Not true at all.
Oh, this is getting
Too bad.
further and further from you guys.
Wait, hey.
It's your turn.
Oh, hi, I'm Ryan. I don't really public speak often. Sorry. What was the question?
What do you do? What do you do?
Oh, I draw comic books. I'm the co-creator and main artist on The Backstagers with that guy over there.
Great book.
And representation's important.
Also, that button's amazing.
Oh, thank you. That's my Twitter account.
I'm aware.
And then I can be less embarrassed.
Okay. We're good. My name is Katie Farina. I'm the artist on Steven Universe comic series. Also the colorist on Rick and Morty. All of the Rick and Morty stuff right now, I guess. And I'm working on a bunch of stuff that I can't talk about too much more, but I'm excited about. I'm really excited about. I guess I mean, there's so many reasons why queer representation matters to me in young adult stuff. I mean, I really have to echo what you say. Like, it would have made a big difference to me growing up. Like, I didn't know who I was until like 25. So that would have helped. And really just seeing other people represented in kids media really has an impact on how those kids treat other people. So it's really important that you expose kids to a lot of different kinds of folks when you're young, or when they're young, so that they grow up, like you said, to be much more well-rounded people.
Hey, hi. My name is Nikki. So I've worked on stuff for Boom Studios like Adventure Time, Image Comics, but mostly I do my own stuff. So this is the comic that I'm running. The series is called Rock Mary Rock. It's a story about a young girl who accidentally awakens a legendary rock star from the 60s. And they're both trapped together. In order for the girl to leave her, she has to become a rock legend. That's where I put a lot of different stuff, diversity into the book. So I come from Asia, from Singapore. So we don't see a lot of that thing like speaking out, from Asia, like Asia country. So my experience here, because I studied in the States, so my experience here with all my friends, have given me enough knowledge to make me want to, hey, I should write this with music because I play music and I can share with my Asian friends. So it's more like a diversity thing. It's good because we don't hear a lot of that in Asia, from my country at least. So I feel like it's very important that everyone puts diversity into their comics. It gives a lot of different perspective, so there's no stereotypes or whatnot.
Well, Dan, I'll start with you. I wanted to ask you about the creation of Kevin Keller, because Kevin is such a Kevin represents such a powerful thing because it was creating a character in in a space that really hadn't been open to queer content in the past. I was wondering if you could talk a bit about the responsibility of creating a character in that space and making sure that this is a character that's almost introducing the concept of queerness to a lot of people who might not be open to it, but also be representational to the people who actually needed a character like that in their Archie comics.
Right. Well, when we introduced Kevin, at the time, we had a new CEO took over. So he kind of looked at what was going on at Archie, and he's like, "Wow, it's very, very white here at Archie, and very not. It doesn't seem like very kind of non-inclusive. It seems sort of not that non-inclusive is not the right word, but it just seemed very like 1950s.
Right.
So we first were like, well, we need some diversity. We need to create some different ethnicities here, and then we were like, well, there's no gay characters, are there? Except for the people who thought Jughead was gay, but I mean, that was always sort of like a rumor. It was never like a real thing. Jughead's really asexual, actually. So we're like, we could have a gay character in Riverdale. It's like we couldn't, like, why not? So, but we were very aware of the fact that we didn't want to do like the after school special where there's a new gay character who's downtrodden and then you never see him again.
Right.
We're just like, we want like him to be a part of Riverdale. So first we weren't even sure if it was going to be a male character or a female character. It just happened to be I was working on the Veronica book, and I had a storyline in my head about Veronica being attracted to like this hot new guy in town who happens to be gay, and she's too oblivious to figure it out. Like, why doesn't this guy want me? Like, it's never happened to her before.
Right.
So it kind of sounds like a Three's Company episode in a way, like a lot of misunderstandings and crazy things going on. But so we introduced Kevin in the context of this very funny story, but we knew that it was a new thing in Riverdale. So we wanted to introduce the character in a light yet real way, because in the story he does like come out to the characters, like he goes out to Jughead first, and we just wanted him to be like something that's a character people were going to like, and he was going to become part of the fabric of Riverdale. And so we introduced Kevin, and he clicked. People liked the character. Now people just say, oh, Kevin Keller, he's part of Riverdale. It's not like he's the gay character, even though he is gay. He's not, it's not all he's known for anymore. So we feel like we've really introduced him, and he's become a part of
Yeah,
the
it's more of
series.
the core cast now.
Right, and
Incredible.
that's what the goal was. That was the goal. We didn't, so it was. We put a lot of thought into it, but also it was a testament to our fans too. Our fans, a lot of, Riverdale. Ours has always been a very gay-friendly series. We've had a lot of gay readers who never, obviously didn't have representation.
Right.
So yeah,
That's awesome.
So now he's on Riverdale, a TV show. So
He's great on that.
Yeah.
he's getting a lot more action in the show than he is in the comics. But everybody is on the show, so.
You know who he marries, okay?
All right. Well, next I wanted to ask Vita. I know you've been getting your start with a lot of superhero work, and once again, especially when you're working on characters who aren't necessarily queer, how do you sort of bring your queer voice into the creation of characters that are for an audience that How do you manage queer representation when you are not necessarily writing a queer character? Is sort of the question.
That's a very good question. The answer is that I push it as far as I can get away with. I think that part of what I really like about being able to write superhero comics is that there's a lot of room for subtext and subtlety, and you can take a lot just from any comic. You can kind of put yourself into those things as a reader and as a creator, and so I really do just get as close as humanly possible. Not just to making them queer, but to making these characters ones that are kind of relatable to anyone,
Right.
While still having the strong personalities that they have. I've also been able to play with characters that are ambiguous in that sometimes they're queer and sometimes they're not queer, and so I make them gay as hell. I wanted to say though, the way that Kevin, I'm a huge Archie fan for a very long time, and the Three's Company thing probably dates me as well. But the seamless way that you introduced that character was so interesting. At the time, I was working retail, and so I was selling a lot of superhero stuff, and a lot of Archie kids come in all the time, and adults, and the reception was really interesting because it was done in a way where even fans that you would have thought oh, these parents aren't gonna let their kids buy this, they were just no, I mean, clearly this is just part of the fabric of this universe, and it's just been there was room, and it was just amazing to see, and that book made a huge difference. I was already a big fan of yours, and I
Oh.
was already a fan of yours when I met you the first time, and that really just like,
Well, I appreciate that.
no, thank you. But yeah, anyway, just make them as gay as possible, even if they're not gay.
I mean, that's a great point. It's the introduction, like seamless introduction of queerness into the world. I think is a lot of what's at the heart of all ages, like queer representation in all ages. Like I think that is part of the job because I think we have the responsibility to show kids who might not be introduced through their other media consumption that queerness is a part of the world that they're going to grow up into. I know, so Ryan, you and I were developing a brand new series, and I know that, like, from the very beginning, like, when we were talking about it, it was trying to create a book that would kind of contradict standard, depictions of masculinity in young boys, and do a book where it's a bunch of young boys who can cry and hug and kiss each other. And that was sort of from the beginning, and I wanted to ask you about the experience. Like, it's weird, I'm asking my co-creator about it. But it's
We've
just-
never met before.
It's for an audience.
Yeah. But just the process of sort of putting yourself in the book and also your agenda in coming into.
Let me tell you about my agenda.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get to it, people.
My agenda is very similar to your agenda, which is to make everything as gay as possible until someone tells me to tone it down. But like what you said, like when we went into the Backstagers, it's a series primarily for kids. Like it's not all ages, but it's a kids book, and it's important to me, especially as a trans person, to depict masculinity, especially in a way that kind of subverts what we tell kids all the time. Like, it's okay to cry and show feelings and have strong friendships and bonds with other boys, especially for boys, because it's not something that socially is really acceptable all the time, and that's kind of bullshit. Oh, can I curse?
There are children here for the YA panel.
I think you're good.
Oh, sorry.
Doing great. You're
You're
doing great.
Just go ahead and do it.
It's important. But no, like, I especially, when we were going through those first emails, like, I'm pretty sure the email you sent us was like, let's do a really gay book together.
Yeah.
And like, that was like in all caps to like, like professionals. So like, we knew going in that it was gonna be a very queer project, but when we started really developing it, the focus kind of shifted from a diverse book to a book that is highlighting a very specific niche of masculinity, and that it's okay to be maybe a little bit more feminine, or to be vulnerable, to have emotions, and to be scared. There are points in the series where like friendships are tried, and the way to go forward is not through like violence or punching or any of those things. It's all like friendship and emotional vulnerability.
Yeah.
And like that's important.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. But yeah, so
I'm shocked you agree.
I know, it's crazy.
It's an
But
easy book to sell too.
yeah, but I would love.
That's always the way that I think about these books, even though now I'm on like weirdly on this side of the table, is all right, how do I sell this book? And like the Kevin Keller book was an easy sell, just I was already in store and it was just, this is flawless, it's selling itself, it doesn't need my help. But like things like that, I could easily sell to people that would buy like things for their
I've had,
children.
especially
Either.
Yeah, especially when I table at cons all the time. Like the people who come up to me and thank me for this book are the kinds of people who I see myself in. They're young adults and teenagers that didn't have an example of them in media, and so the project, it may not be the largest project I've ever done, but it's important and it hits home to the people that we intended it for, and that's what it's worth.
And it's in libraries, isn't it? Which
Yeah.
is very important because
Yeah.
your children can go to the library and read these books in places where it might not be safe for them to get the books.
Yeah,
to
we've actually had
help
a
them.
lot of librarians
Yes.
at least come up to me and be like, yeah, we ordered 8 copies and they're always checked out. So like it's not, like I'd like to be paid a lot more money to do that. But like it's, when we set out, that's what we wanted to do and that's what we did and that's what made it such a fulfilling project to do. Because like when I was a teen I needed that and I didn't have it.
Well, continuing the conversation down to Katie, I wanted to, continuing that thread a little bit. I think one of the interesting things about the creation of queer media for a lot of us is that it comes from a very personal place. That it is sort of, in a weird way, it's us writing for the younger versions of ourselves. And does that play a role into the creation of your work and even working on properties that are licensed properties? Do you see yourself sort of making the story that would have meant the most to the younger version of yourself?
Oh, for sure. I mean, for sure, really. The run of Steven Universe that I worked on with Melanie Gilman, their stories are so important, and they're really important to me because I think, you know, being a queer baby and not really understanding what that means and not really understanding yourself, like a lot of the way that I draw the characters or a lot of the emotion that I try to put behind Melanie's words are things that I want to show myself when I was a kid. I really, like, I wish I had that. I wish I was able to go back in time and tell myself that it would be okay. I'm gonna try not to cry.
Write it in.
I'm okay. I'm a very emotional person, so it's very easy to make me cry. But I mean, really, the way that you know, we're gifted with shows like Steven Universe, and that's not a thing that I ever thought I would ever see on TV, let alone ever put my hands on. And
Children's channel.
for kids, and I mean that means the world to me because I want to just put a little arm around myself when I was a kid and you know, let myself know that these properties will exist and these you know, there will be so many more queer creators and diverse creators putting this stuff out there that will change people's lives, and that's mind-blowing to me and it's so important to me. So that's all I'm going to say before I start crying.
So Nikki,
Yes.
one of the interesting things, like I was really interested in what you brought up in your introduction about the fact that you are, like, a big part of what you're doing is like for an audience, for your audience back home, where they might not run into the same kind of diversity that's just starting to happen in American media. Like, how do you navigate the kind of difference between trying to bring that sense of diversity outside into like bring people outside of their comfort zone a little to show the diversity of the world?
Yeah, so I think it is very important as a creator, an artist, and a writer to when you write your comics, you don't want to do diversity for the sake of diversity. Like, I didn't sell this book like, oh, let's put everyone in the black, the white, the yellow, like every other person. So it just came naturally because I love music. And my first piece that I played was Enter Sandman, Metallica. That was what I was introduced to. But I grew up loving Queen. Then from there to Adam Lambert, Lady Gaga. So it was a natural. And when we talk about music, like, it's not that there's no driving force, like no straight people that drive forces or like music, but like these people, they were there, they were vulnerable. Anytime they say I'm gay, everyone's looking at them, but they're willing to do it, and they have so much supporters, and they're true to themselves. So when I have to pick a few different characters, like important characters in this book, important musician and rock stars, one of them was an active choice to be a gay rock star. It's not because like, oh, it's diversity, but because he plays a purpose.
Right.
Because musicians like that are very true to yourself, and I want that message across in the book. And you know, like it's important to be true to yourself. even if people are not looking at you the certain way they know. But if nobody speaks out, then we don't get this across. So I think that's very important, and it's natural because it's music, and this is really funny, just all goofy, because the battle scenes are like all over the place. Like if people play death metal, the ghost rise from there. If it's a jazz musician, like the scenes are all different. So that's how the battles are. So it's way more easier for me to integrate into the story. And I didn't carry the fact, I need to put disability people, but it just happens to be there because the story needed it. It was a necessity, which helped me. So and then hopefully people back home when they read it, they get more open to, because in Asia this is a taboo. Nobody talk about it, and nobody give a bleep about this. So, I censored that. Yeah, it's an all ages panel, right? Almost got myself,
Most
but
of them look grown.
yeah. So that's how it worked for me personally as
A
a
point to
creator.
take off of that is that a lot of people feel like diverse media is like a checklist.
Yeah,
but
it's not. It's not.
Most of the time, it's done by creative teams who identify with those characters, and like you said, putting it in a story serves a purpose.
Yes.
Whether or not that purpose is for the plot or not is irrelevant, because the sheer reasoning that it exists is to reflect the audience you want to cultivate.
Yeah.
So
And also, sorry.
No, you go.
I was gonna say, I love the way you put it, that it fills a need. So you have all these stories that traditionally that we're excluded from because of how we identify, because of the color of our skin, because of our, our ability, whatever. But you can tell there's something missing from those stories.
Yeah.
And then you have these stories coming out, especially YA stories, and you go, this feels more complete, this feels more real. Oh my God, we've been missing this all along. And it's just so great to watch kids not know that. That's every time, I'm just like, oh, you have no idea, good.
you don't know how good you have it.
and we don't want them to, right? So
Yeah.
we went through all this stuff, so that they don't have to. I never want to see, I pitched a couple of YA books as well. Clearly, they're all going to be queer and mostly brown. And I never, ever, ever, ever want my nephews and nieces, my children, to ever have to know how hard it was to be is that one? Is that?
I see this blob way back here that looks a little.
It can be a little bit of a. In fan fiction, anything's possible.
Fan fiction was a great outlet, and then it was also for me, the thing that's I get sad about thinking back. It was if a character would make a slightly homophobic joke, it meant that queer people existed in that universe, and it was just all right, we're in there. They might not like us, but we're there. At least we're there. Yeah, at
I was
least.
gonna say too, the fact that we got that future Kevin Keller, that future married Kevin Keller,
On Life with Archie, Kevin.
and
Yeah.
that was, I cried.
Oh.
That how often do you see that?
Yeah.
Please tell me.
and that was funny because in the regular Archie book, the Kevin Keller book, because it was a kind of a weird area because we're still Archie comics and we can only show so much. But at least with future Kevin, he could get married and we could actually show him kissing, in the comic books, in the teen book, we finally were able to do that. Once again, like you were saying, I tried to push it as far as I could. I did a story where if I showed Kevin kissing 8 times, I might get away with 3.
Just bombard.
So they thought they were kind of winning, but they weren't.
Yeah.
You go up to the top, so when they settle, you're still winning.
That's right. I wanted only 1 or 2 to begin with, but if I give them 8 and they settle for 2, I've won.
You walk in and then you're like, oh, that's terrible.
I know.
You suck.
Exactly. But at least with the Life with Kevin, or Life with Archie, where Kevin got married, we could show him as a grown-up, actually getting married.
Yeah.
And they had the Kevin wedding, and then in the series I'm working on now, it's great because it's Life with Kevin, and he's 20, 21. So now he can